If you are a professional fighter and you fail to make weight, then you should hang your head in shame and you run the risk of getting cut from the organisation. Certainly these days, if you're in the UFC, if you miss weight, it's going to be a bad thing. We saw recently Bryan Battle, who was a tremendously talented fighter, just recently get cut from the UFC because he missed weight 3 times in a row. This weekend in Paris, we had Lawson Cater taking on Patricio Pitbull, a massive fight, making his debut, a double champ on another organisation, but he failed to make weight.
Running a 5-fight win streak and making his UFC debut, Lawson Cater, 149 pounds.
And apparently, he's been let go from the organisation.
You're fired!
Dana White famously said a long time ago on The Ultimate Fighter, nothing pisses me off more
than guys not making weight. As a team, you guys should have been on his fat ass 2 weeks ago.
And on this video, we're going to go through some fighters that did just that.
Attack your boys.
So currently I'm here in Paris, and as I said, Bryan Battle, he was cut after missing weight 3 times. He missed weight by 5 pounds at UFC 319 versus Narulo Ruziboyev. The fight was cancelled. He weighed in at 190 pounds after moving up from 170 to 185.
190, the official weight for Bryan Battle.
The second straight fight with a weight miss, 3rd overall. He missed by 5 pounds when he took on Randy Brown.
175.
And he also missed weight when he went up against Gabriel Green, and then he went on to knock the guy out in 14 seconds. Dominic Cruz often says that when people miss weight, they're doing it to get an advantage. They are doing it strategically. Essentially, they are cheating.
Oh, you're gonna get your ass whooped by a cheater, motherfucker.
I don't know about that, but as I say, we're going to go through some of the worst weight cuts in UFC history. Now, let's remember, Bryan Battle was 7-1 in the UFC at the time of his release, and that shows how serious that the UFC take it. And even the former referee, the man himself, Big John McCarthy, said they gave him 3 chances, 3 strikes, and you were out.
They're going to give everyone a 1, maybe a 2. They gave him 3. 3 strikes, you're out.
Now, before we get into the top 10, there is some honourable mentions. The soldier of God, Yoel Romero.
Hello, you mind?
He missed weight twice for UFC title fights. He came in 2.7 pounds over at UFC 221.
188 for Yoel Romero, who will have 2 hours to cut the final 3 pounds.
When he took on Luke Rockhold for the interim title.
187.7.
Of course, he went out to spectacularly knock him out. He was 188.3 on the first attempt. He won by TKO in the 3rd round, but he didn't win the belt. And then he also missed weight when he took on Robert Whittaker for the undisputed belt at UFC 225. Granted, it was only 0.2 of a pound over.
185.2.
But he was still overweight and not eligible to win the belt. And Romero was also fined 30% of his purse, and then he went on to lose a split decision. Of course, we've got Paulo Costa, who also fought Yoel Romero. He couldn't make weight against Marvin Vettori.
Honestly, what's your weight right now?
Why you want to know? I will tell you, but why do you want to know my weight?
I mean, I want to know. You were supposed to make weight. Every fighter here is supposed to make weight. We have a moment. It's called weighing. Maybe you know about it.
They moved the fight from 185 to 205, but it was because Paulo Costa wasn't on track to make weight. And then, of course, we've got Johnny Hendricks, who fought number 4 on this list, and he missed weight in 3 of his last 4 UFC fights. Against Gastelum and Magny at welterweight, and then even at middleweight, when he moved up, he took on Tim Boetsch, and he came in at 188.
188.
2 pounds over. So anyway, I've been going on for a while. Let's get into the top 10. Of course, at number 10 it is Ariane De Silva. She weighed in at 132 pounds, taking on Wang Kong. The weight limit was 125 pounds, so she was 6 pounds over.
132, the official weight for Ariane De Silva, 6 pounds over the flyweight limit.
Of course, you get fined. She was fined 30%. And of course, there's always excuses when people miss weight. And Ariane said that she was taking medication for a pituitary gland. I struggled to say that one. Pituitary gland issues. Okay, make of that what you will. But anyway, swiftly moving on. Number 9, Sarah Frotter. She was supposed to fight at 115 pounds. She stepped on the scale at 123.
123.
I called this event.
But I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Brendan. Excellent.
Renato Moicano was stopped by the legend Jose Aldo. Stopped him in the 2nd round. But as I say, Sarah Frotter missed weight by 7 pounds in her UFC debut. Your UFC debut, and you missed weight by 7 pounds. It's not even close. It is insane. And then, of course, she went on to lose the fight by split decision to Souza. She did say it was because of a period, according to her manager. Manager says that she's moving up to flyweight. That will be the next move. Now, taking a break from the Now, taking a break from the chronological list for a historic moment, this was the first ever heavyweight to miss weight in UFC history. Greg Hardy missed on the first try versus Maurice Green.
266.5.
He came in at half a pound, but he managed to pass on the second attempt. Justin Taffer came in at 267 pounds versus Harry Hunsucker. He was 1 pound over the weight limit and gets the dubious honour of being the first ever heavyweight to miss weight.
Official weight 267.5 for Justin Taffer.
He went on to sleep Harry Hunsucker in under 2 minutes by a brutal head kick, and he addressed the weight miss at the post-fight presser.
I saw it for like 11-12 hours just to get it, and by the time I hit that last pound, I was just like, I didn't think I could fight if I continued. A 1 pound disadvantage in heavyweight ain't the same as a 1 pound disadvantage in featherweight, so...
Number 7 on the list, Chris Barnett, the second heavyweight to miss weight. The heavyweights, they're eating a lot of pasta, burgers, whatever the hell they want, because they think they've got no problem making weight.
Because you know I'm all about that cake and chicken.
Well, we've got 2 in a row here. He missed weight when he took on Jake Collier. He weighed in at 267.5 pounds.
267.5, the official weight for Chris Barnett. Pound and a half over the heavyweight limit.
Obviously, 1.5 pounds over. Now we're going to get down to some good stuff now. Some more notable names as we move on down to number 6. The middleweight champion of the world, Khamzat Chimaev, causes UFC 279 to reshuffle when he came in at 7.5 pounds over the limit. You probably remember this one. He was scheduled to take on Nate Diaz. It was a bizarre week. He was arguing at Paulo Costa at the Performance Institute.
Say, well, you want to fight now? You want to fight me?
Backstage, he was having a scuffle with Kevin Holland. That caused the press conference to be completely cancelled.
Yeah, this ain't gonna happen. I apologize, everybody.
Then Khamzat couldn't make weight, steps on the scale, gives everyone the middle finger.
178.5.
Oh. 178.5, the official weight for Khamzat Chimaev.
He said that he had cramps from the weight cut and the UFC doctors told him to stop cutting. Now, Dana White explained everything what happened on an Instagram Live.
You know, he started locking up and cramping and all the things that happen when you're bad, that are from a bad cut. And, you know, unlike 10 years ago when we were doing this, they call in, we send a doctor up, and a doctor determines whether he should keep cutting weight or not, and the doctor told him he shouldn't.
But he did go on to fight at that event. He took on Kevin Holland at a catch weight of 180 pounds. After that, he went up and stayed at middleweight, and he's now the champion of the world, and he's still undefeated. And if you remember rightly, Nate Diaz went on to fight Tony Ferguson. All right, number 5, Du Bronx, Charles Oliveira. When he fought Ricardo Lamas, he came in 9 pounds overweight.
155.
Remember when he fought Justin Gaethje, he was fighting for the belt. He wasn't eligible for the belt because he missed weight then as well. But this was a bad one. Taking on Ricardo Lamas, came in 9 pounds over. Charles has missed weight 4 times at featherweight before he moved up to 155. Ricardo Lamas was the last fight at featherweight. Charles's team blamed the Mexico City altitude and the short notice, which is a factor. But when you take a fight, you have to look at everything and say, okay, can I make weight? And the responsibility, as much as I'm a fan of Charles Oliveira, the responsibility is on the fighter when they accept that weight. Now, the fight went ahead. Oliveira was fined 30% of his purse. A rehydration clause was brought in. He couldn't weigh in above more than 165 pounds on fight night. Lamas won via submission, caught him in a guillotine in round 2. And as I mentioned earlier, Charles Oliveira also missed weight at lightweight and was stripped of the belt.
155.5. 155.5.
If Charles wins the fight tomorrow night, he will win the fight, but the belt will be vacant.
Number 4, Kelvin Gastelum came in at 180 pounds when he took on Tyron the Chosen One Woodley.
180. Kelvin misses by 10 pounds.
He came in at 180 pounds, 10 pounds over the weight limit. It was the co-main event for Anderson Silva versus Nate Diaz. Silva and Diaz, by the way, were both suspended for steroids or dick pills or weed metabolites, whatever you want to call it. They were both banned. Kelvin, as we know, no stranger to missing weight. He missed versus Nico Masoki and Tyron Woodley. His fight versus Cerrone was cancelled during fight week of the UFC 205 because he also missed by 10 pounds again.
I heard he was at 180 or something. I don't know. So
at the Darren Till weighing, a commission fined him for $1,200 for tampering. He missed weight on the first attempt versus Cannonier, but did pass on the second attempt. Woodley gave Gastelum his first loss in that fight, and he was also given 30% of Kelvin Gastelum's purse. Now, Woodley refused to take the 30% of Kelvin Gastelum's purse, which is very nice of him. He said losing was punishment enough, and he expressed how hard it is to make it in life as a fighter. So fair play to Tyron Woodley for that one.
He missed weight. That's punishment enough. Whatever the commission was going to take from this kid, I don't want it. That's his money. His training camps cost too much. And I've been on the table crying because I couldn't pay bills. So I can't get myself to take whatever percentage they want.
But then he went quickly back to calling him a fat ass when Kelvin tried to get a rematch 1 year later.
And you got beat on one foot. I played games with you. You didn't land one punch. You missed weight by 10 pounds. I gave you your money back. I even sent you a fat ass some metabolic meals that you didn't obviously eat.
Number 3, RIP to the great Anthony Rumble Johnson. But he did struggle with the scale on occasion. Anthony Rumble Johnson versus Vitor Belfort. He came in at 11 pounds over the weight limit. Let's remember, Rumble Johnson used to fight at 170 pounds. He moved up to 185 to take on Vitor Belfort and weighed in at 197 pounds.
197! So Anthony is overweight and he has to weigh 205 by tomorrow.
Now, Johnson used to do monster cuts when he cut to welterweight, that's clear. Apparently cutting up to 60 pounds over 2 months. He moved up to middleweight, as I say, he still missed, but the doctors told Anthony Johnson to take fluids after he lost the feeling in his legs. Very, very serious. His manager went on to explain that they called in the local doctor who made him drink a bunch of fluids to see if that made him feel any better. About an hour later, he started feeling better. By the time he started feeling better, it was an hour before the weigh-ins. There was no time to shed the weight. As we know, Vitor Belfort went on to win in the very first round. He got a submission. It was a rear naked choke. Johnson said that his legs felt heavy. At least he could still feel them. As I say, RIP, the man was an absolute monster. Knockout power like you've never seen before. Such a shame that he passed away. And as I say, RIP one more time. Number 2 on the list, Rafael Alves taking on Patrick Sabatini, and he came in 11.5 pounds over. This is getting crazy now.
Official weight 157.5 for Rafael Alves.
Alves weighed in at 157.5, whilst his opponent Pat Sabatini weighed 146. The second biggest weight miss in UFC history. Now, as I say, they've always got an excuse. He claimed bad salmon. Later said that he was devastated after his wife's miscarriage and that he missed on purpose. He said, I don't like to talk about my personal life, about what happened. He said in an interview with MMA Fighting. I talked about the salmon back then, but that was just me saying anything about my weight miss. What really happened was on the day of the weigh-ins, when I was almost on weight, I decided not to fight because I was frustrated that my wife had suffered a miscarriage. So that's definitely a really, really sad scenario. But as I say, it does go down as the second biggest weight miss in UFC history. And now, of course, we come to the dubious honour of the number 1, the worst weight cut in UFC history. It goes to William Knight, 218 pounds versus Maxim Grishin. He came in a whopping 12 pounds over the weight limit.
218 pounds, the official weight for William Knight. That is 12 pounds over the light heavyweight limit.
It's almost another weight class altogether. William Knight took on Maxim Grishin on short notice. He came in a record 12 pounds overweight. He was fined a record high 40% of his fight purse, and William Knight blamed the short notice booking. He only had 2 weeks.
I took the fight on 2 weeks' notice and I did what the I had to do.
He said that he was weighing 240 pounds 13 days before. Fight was moved to heavyweight. Knight posted a statement afterwards which said, I tried my best on short notice, definitely not the kind of fighter that I am, and it definitely won't happen again. I turned into the bad guy, trying to save a fight on short notice. I'm happy the real snakes have shed their skin today. I'll remember this moving forward for sure. God has blessed me with this as a lesson, and I'll definitely make sure I do better next time. The fight's still on tomorrow at 8 p.m. It's now a heavyweight fight. Grishin went on to win the fight a 30-27 decision. He outstruck Knight by 77%. Knight fell to 11-3. He moved to heavyweight. He lost to Devin Clark, and then he lost to Marcin Prachnio. Lost 3 in a row, and then was cut from the UFC. So, as you can see, there's advantages and disadvantages. If you get a quick knockout in the first round, you're going to be bigger, you're going to be stronger. But the longer the fight progresses, you're going to feel that tough weight cut. Ultimately, we're not in control of anything as a fighter. We cannot control if we're going to win or lose. But as a professional, You have to be in charge of your weight and you have to show up on shape. If you don't show up on shape to go 3 rounds or 5 rounds, you're not a professional. You're an amateur. And if you don't show up on weight, then as I said at the start of the video, you should hang your head in shame. Anyway, let me know what you think about that in the comment section. As always, subscribe, ring the bell. See you soon.